How are we doing over there, Dave?
Yes.
We going? We working?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. A complicated issue. An issue that is complicated only because of experience. We have had an experience that is, I can't say it's wrong because it's right for what it is. But what is wrong with it is that it's not the whole picture. So, a way of viewing things and of the world is slightly skewed. It is skewed toward physical. Now, let's take two words, physical and spiritual. Let's simplify. Physical, this, and the way you relate to it, the way you relate to what you think you see. Spiritual. Spirit is not this complex thing. Ooh, all that crap. Spirit just means not physical. Okay? You can say no more about it than that. You can't say or define it as you can define the limits of physical being. I can look and I can see this and I can define. That is the end of where my body exists. It's a lie, but here's the end of it. So I can define that and it will prove itself again and again and again and again and again. What we have to do is we have to see it differently. But because however, I guess everybody here is at least 20 years old, right? At least. The deal is, for that number of years, you have behaved as if this is the end of it. Doesn't exist beyond this point. So that habit of doing that is within you. The habit is not recognizable in its mechanism, but its results are, you can see the results. It's like looking at a black hole. You can't see a black hole, but you can see all this stuff going somewhere and disappearing. All right, so you know, there's something there, because all is there and then it's not there. Well, where did it go? Well, I don't know where it went, but let's call it a black hole. See, now we're talking about language, talking about something that it cannot define, because it can't see it. We can only see the results of it. It is the same thing with your habitual behavior. You can see the results of that behavior because you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. You keep viewing things the same way. And when you keep viewing things the same way, you never let go of the source, which is like the black hole. Okay? Now, that is there. What do I do about it? Recognize that this is a habitual process. Your thought process is a habitual process. Your thought process is the basis for addiction. You are addicted to a particular way of thinking. Is it the drug that addicts you, or is it the process? Okay. You hear people say, I keep going back to the drug because I'm looking for that first high. Well, what does that say? It's in here. Okay. I keep looking for the drug. keep looking for that first high. Therefore, I keep back. Crack, crack, more crack, more crack, more crack, more crack. We say you are addicted. You are addicted to everything. It's as simple as that. So what do we have to do? We have to break the addiction. Break the way of thinking about what you think you see. Okay? We have to come to the difference between form and spirit. Now remember, I've defined spirit now, not form. But there is a relationship. Spirit, a force that you cannot define, is behind everything. Hear my words differently than you normally hear. Everything. Everything that you can identify, behind that identification is energy. You cannot identify the energy because it's energy. It doesn't have a shape as you recognize it. All right? So, spirit, form. Where do they come together? They come together at a point. Now, see, spirit is a fine vibration. When I say fine, I don't mean fine as in fine. I mean small, tiny, really very, very fine. Kind of like a baby's mustache. Fine. Okay. Form is gross. Okay. Now what does that tell us? At a particular point, the fine vibration is fine because it moves faster. So you can not put your finger on it so easily. At some point, for some reason, it becomes gross. Now you see it. Now we're talking about this, or air, or water. The vibrational frequency has changed at a point you call time and space. Now, not all time exists in this space. Okay? I'm trying to give you a description of the multiverse. A description of the multiverse. What you see here is only one room in a big house. Okay? As the atoms and molecules move through that room to the next room, they change. Because your biomechanical devices, eyes, ears, nose, throat, nervous system, are designed to pick it up only in this room. Only in this room. Okay? We think that that is the only reality that is. It exists beyond this room and into the next room. However, you don't really pick it up because you are unaccustomed to using all of your senses simultaneously. 5 fingers, your senses, make one hand. So as you begin to use these in conjunction with each other, you may be able to perceive what is in the next room. Somebody talks to dead people. We say that's crazy. No, they're just using more of the hand than you are. Because the people they talk to aren't really dead. They just aren't in this room anymore. They're not dead. They just aren't here. Here. Your limitation of the way you see the world is that here is all there is. Because you are using this as a point of reference. Form. You're not using spirit as a point of reference. Or you're not coming from that point. So, you don't see it. You can't see it. Because your habit will only allow you to see what you have already seen 10,000 times. And will allow you only to see that. Well, Houston, there's a problem. There's a problem. Right? The idea of coming into physical reality is to increase the use of one's consciousness to understand greater and greater things. That's nice and cold. Where'd you get that? Oh, well, I remember my aunt sent my niece to get some water, and she said, "Oh, that's really cold. Where'd you get it?" She got it out of the toilet. All right. Tell you a little something about God. And I use that word loosely, but I'm just trying to communicate something. I'm using a word that we share in terms of language. It is the responsibility of every being to create as God creates, as the source creates. You become and are already a God. You have created things that you have no idea. You have created things that exist in that room next to this room. You have no idea that even exist. That is the nature of it. That is the nature of it. To come home to God or to the source is not a Sunday go to church meeting. It is to acknowledge that thing, those things that are within me, that are within the source. That is what I am. That is what I am. Now, the problem becomes as we identify and we clothe this energy. Clothe it by putting boundaries on it, colorations on it. It means this, it means that, it means the other. I say to you, if you are going to the source and you're going to really know who you are, you cannot put boundaries on it, because here, your idea, when you say, I want to know, that means you want to define. How can you define that does not have physical boundaries? How can you define that which is behind this? That which causes this to organize itself in this form and remain in this form for a period of time. It is the memory of the thing itself. It is that which is behind the thing that does that. There's consciousness here. There's consciousness in everything. It holds that for a period of time, just as your body holds its shape and its condition for a period of time in this reality. So you cannot define what it is behind it. All you can do is accept it without definition. But you need your fix of identification. It shows itself by your willingness to identify everything around you based on what's in you. If you're an asshole, you define the world as an asshole. That's because you only see assholitude. You do not see holiness. Now, I ask this question, is the problem the world, or is the problem what you think, your habit? This is why it's important to get behind the things you think you know. If you have been bullied as a child, and you think the world is bullying you, or the world doesn't think very much of you, that's because you don't think very much of you. What does the world matter? They are dealing with their own illusions. With their illusions. One of the things I realized that night, I was nuts. And then I looked around, it's like, oh my God, everybody else is nuts. We're all nuts. Then if we're all nuts, what does their opinion really mean? Doesn't mean anything. I can go with what I have found to be true. I'm nuts, they're nuts, I'll go with this because this makes more sense to me. This makes more sense. Well, then I will be nuts outside of myself. I will be nuts alone because this makes more sense than that being nuts. That is not tied to anything except what I put here. I'm not that thought. I'm not that behavior. Then what am I? I don't know. I'll just be it. That thing that is undefinable, we call it spirit, for lack of a better word. We can say spirit means that which I do not see but I know is there. We can say spirit means black hole. I can't see it, but it's there because stuff keeps disappearing into it. You know, if I don't know the manhole is there without the cover and people keep falling into it, I know it's something there. Now, what is it? I don't know, but I'm not going there. You see, you can tell by what happens around it. The problem with identification is that the identification can only give you a very small part of what is real, what is true. A very small part. We look around and we say there are millions of people on earth. I was asked a question when I was over with the Muslims. Why is it you never say brother? Because usually I say mother. I don't say brother because I don't see my brother. I see myself. I see myself. See, if I don't take my crap, I'm not going to take your crap. I'm going to treat you as my equal. I'm going to treat everything as my equal. Because it is myself. I'm not going to treat it as less than. I see people, those poor this, or that poor that, or that poor, Well, I too am touched by pain. But I do not condescend to people to make them feel less than. You are myself. I have to stand up. Well then, stand up. I can't. No, you don't know whether you can't or not because you haven't tried. You have accepted the idea of being a victim. Perhaps you can't. Perhaps you can't. But I don't see you trying. I don't mean you in this moment. I mean generally. So I'm not going to say, oh, poor you. I look at you as I look at myself. There was a point in time a few years ago when getting out of the bed, getting up was just... I had a pee bucket by the bed. It was that hard. I don't have a pee bucket anymore. I get up and I go to the bathroom. Why? Because I got up and I looked every day for a way to make it better and better and better. And today, it is better. So, do you think I would look at my fellow man, quote, as less than myself? No. When people bring me stuff and they look to make excuses for their behavior, I'm saying, why is it you look at yourself as something less than God? I don't. So you see the different perspective. One is from the perspective of spirit, and one is from the perspective of form. Form is limited. If you depend only on form, you will forever be limited. You must depend upon the source behind that. You must see the source. You must be the source. Be the source of the energy that motivates. And I don't mean motivate like, what's that tall guy with the big teeth? What's his name?
Oh, Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins. I don't mean motivate in that way. I mean motor as in action, vate. Action. What is behind it does that. The more clear you become as to who you are and what you are, the easier it becomes to live.